Have you ever wondered why one of the most powerful naval fleets in history failed to conquer a much smaller nation? To understand the Spanish Armada, we must journey back to the 16th century, a time when religion and empire were the fuel of international rivalry. Imagine Europe as a vast chessboard where the pieces are kings, queens, fleets, and faith. Two players were locked in a tense standoff: Catholic Spain under King Philip II and Protestant England, ruled by Queen Elizabeth I. Spain was at the height of its power. It had colonies across the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Spanish galleons carried gold, silver, and spices home across the Atlantic. But this wealth came with enemies, chief among them England. Philip II wasn't just defending an empire, he was defending the Catholic faith. Queen Elizabeth had not only rejected his marriage proposal years earlier, but also supported Protestant rebels in the Spanish Netherlands and allowed English privateers, state-sponsored pirates like Sir Francis Drake, to plunder Spanish treasure ships. And then came a final spark: the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, in 1587. Mary was a Catholic and to Philip, the rightful Queen of England. When Elizabeth had her executed, it sent shockwaves through Catholic Europe. For Philip, the moment had come. He would build an invincible armada, a fleet of more than 130 ships, to sail up the English Channel, join forces with Spanish troops stationed in the Netherlands, and invade England. The aim was clear: to restore Catholicism, remove Elizabeth, and end English interference once and for all. Constructing the Armada was no ordinary task. Over 2 years, shipyards across Spain buzzed with activity. Carpenters, blacksmiths, sailmakers, and laborers worked day and night. The fleet included huge galleons, nimble caravels, and even converted merchant vessels, each packed with soldiers and supplies. These ships weren't just transport, they were floating fortresses. Equipped with over 2,400 cannons and stocked with food, gunpowder, and holy relics, the Armada was a moving cathedral and a mobile war machine. Tens of thousands of sailors and soldiers were recruited. Many were poorly trained, and communication between ships was difficult. But the fleet was an expression of power, both religious and military. To King Philip, this was a holy crusade. Priests boarded the ships to bless the men. Spain was ready for a divine mission. The Armada was scheduled to launch in early 1588, but bad weather, logistical issues, and disease caused delay after delay. Supplies rotted in port. Men grew sick before even leaving Spain. When the Armada finally set sail in May, a storm battered the fleet, forcing many ships back to port. It wasn't until July that the fleet was truly underway, already weakened and weeks behind schedule. Meanwhile, England was preparing. Sir Francis Drake, now Vice Admiral of the English fleet, launched a daring raid on the port of Cadiz the year before, destroying supplies and delaying the invasion by months. He famously claimed to have singed the King of Spain's beard. This wasn't just warfare, it was psychological. England was sending a message: we are watching, we are ready. On paper, the English were outmatched. Their navy was smaller and they had fewer ships. But their ships were faster, more maneuverable, and better suited to hit-and-run tactics. English cannon were designed for rapid reloading and long-distance fire, unlike the Spanish preference for close combat and boarding. In late July 1588, the Armada was spotted in the English Channel. Church bells rang out across the coast. Fires were lit on hilltops. The country braced for war. From Plymouth, Drake and Lord Charles Howard led the English fleet into the Channel. Over several days, skirmishes erupted. The English would dart in, unleash cannon fire, and sail away before the larger Spanish ships could respond. The Armada formed a tight crescent formation, strong but inflexible. Philip's orders were clear: don't engage unless necessary. The real goal was to meet with the Duke of Parma's army in the Netherlands and escort them across to England. But Parma's troops weren't ready. The Spanish ships waited off Calais, vulnerable. At midnight on July 28th, the English unleashed a devastating tactic fire ships. 8 unmanned, burning vessels were sent drifting into the heart of the Spanish fleet. Panic erupted. Spanish ships cut their anchors to flee the blaze, breaking the tight formation. The next day, the Battle of Gravelines erupted. The English attacked with full force. Spanish ships, unanchored and scattered, were easy targets. The Armada suffered heavy damage. Many were left leaking or crippled. Still, Philip hoped the mission could be salvaged. But now, nature stepped in. Defeated but still afloat, the Armada tried to retreat around the north of Scotland and down past Ireland. But violent Atlantic storms struck. Lacking anchors and low on food and fresh water, the Spanish ships were helpless. Many were driven onto rocks along the coasts of Ireland and Scotland. Local resistance, shipwrecks, and disease killed thousands. Only around half of the Armada's ships returned to Spain. The mission had utterly failed. Spain's defeat wasn't just military, it was symbolic. The so-called Invincible Armada had been humbled. Spain remained a powerful empire, but this marked the beginning of its decline. The cost of the Armada, financially and politically, was enormous. Philip never recovered his dominance. For England, it was a moment of national pride. The myth of Elizabeth grew. England had survived against all odds. The Armada's defeat marked the rise of England as a naval power, paving the way for its future empire. The Spanish Armada isn't just a story about ships. It's a lesson in how power alone doesn't guarantee success, how nature can change the course of war, how smart tactics and leadership can defeat even the largest force, and how political ambition, religious zeal, and personal pride can lead to catastrophe. It also reminds us of how narratives are built. The Armada's failure became part of English identity, celebrated in songs, sermons, and schoolbooks for centuries. So what can we learn from the Armada today? It shows that even the mightiest empires are vulnerable, that no invasion is guaranteed, that history turns not just on battles but on weather, mistakes, and bold decisions. It's a story of ambition, conflict, resilience, and the winds of fate. The Spanish Armada set out to conquer. Instead, it became a powerful warning. Even the greatest plans can be undone by human error, brave opposition, and a single storm.